What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today I'm going to show you an in-depth eye tutorial on how to get this look. I wore this makeup look on my Instagram stories last week, and a lot of people seem to like it, so I asked if you guys wanted a tutorial on how to get this, and everyone said yes, so here it is. Here is the video. This is definitely going to be an in-depth informational video. I'm going to go over a lot of techniques with you and teach you how to achieve this, so hopefully you can follow it step by step and get a similar outlook. As always with tutorials, if this is too much to you, don't let that intimidate you. You can pick and choose from the tutorial what you want to do. If you don't want to add the darker colors, it will be a lighter, softer looking eyeshadow. So yeah, before we jump into it, if you are curious about my base makeup, I filmed an entire video, again, an in-depth video on a new technique that I tried. So if you're interested in that, it'll be up in a week or two, so be sure to subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the eye tutorial. Alrighty, if you hear my neighbor's rumbling diesel truck while I'm filming, my apologies. But this is a look that we are starting to go for. It's not quite complete, but I am using this oldie but goodie Lorac Matte Pro palette. This is my only eyeshadow from Lorac, and I am so glad I got this palette years ago. I think it's been like 4 years now since I've had this. It was very well loved and well used. So today I'm going to walk you through this look. Feel free to use any shadow that you have is similar. You'll get a similar effect. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with this shade Latte on a fluffy brush. I'm going to be using my Morphe M433. It's just kind of like the perfect little blending brush shape. These are very powdery shadows, so I mean with most shadows you want to like tap off the extra, but definitely make sure you're doing that. So what I'm going to do, and if you have a hard time placing shadow, use your bone structure to your advantage. And by the way, I'm holding this brush and I'm barely applying any pressure to the brush, like very, very lightly, just going around. So here I can feel my orbital bone. This is gonna be a struggle today, I can already tell. Yeah, so I'm just following the shape of that, going on the very, very edge of it to leave the faintest line. So that's as high up as I want to place my eyeshadow. I can blend above that, but I don't want to place it any higher, really. I'm going to pick up a little bit more, and I just hit pan on this shade. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more, and I want to focus most of the deposit out here in the outer corner. And then I'm going to work on taking whatever is left. This is a new technique I'm trying out. Dog hair in my eye. I've seen Nikki tutorials do this a lot, so I'm not sure how I feel about it, but you literally take the lightest shadow that you're using and get it all up in your brow bone and kind of like into the bridge of your nose, just for some more contour. But yeah, just want to fluff this shadow on, and I did a look so similar to this 4 years ago. It like popped up on my time hop, and I was like, oh, I bet if I redid that, I could make it look so much better, because 4 years ago, my makeup skills were quite embarrassing. So yeah, I thought it would be fun. I posted on Instagram, asked you guys if you wanted to see it, and everyone said yes. So here we are with it. I'm not going to build it up anymore. I'm going to leave it as is, and with the same brush, I'm going to move on to pink mauve, and let me just say, blushy nudes or like pink toned browns are like my favorite kind of eyeshadows. That was probably the main selling point of this palette, was literally for this shade. I love it so much. So again, I'm going to pick up just a little bit of it, tap it off, and this is going to add just the slightest pop of color to this look and give it like a soft pink, soft glam kind of vibe. And I'm just repeating the exact same steps, only here you can see I'm putting the shadow closer to my lid. And then again, whatever is left is going into the inner corner. You don't want to make the inner corner heavy because it can kind of close your eye, whereas we're trying to have it be larger and open. And I think that's the theory behind like putting the eyeshadow up here, is that it's going to help open up that inner corner. These shadows are so easy to work with. Like, I'm not going to do any more blending off camera. That's literally it. So now I'm going to move on to corduroy, which is the medium brown in this palette. And again, tap, 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 tap. And I'm going to place this a little bit lower. So I'm not starting up here, I'm starting down here. And what I'm going to do is make a diagonal line like that. So I'm making this about halfway through my crease. So if I were to look straight on, it's going to end like where my pupil is. Right in the middle of my eye is where I'm going to have this diagonal. So start down here, go here, and then whatever is left, I'm going to start building up the outer corner on my lid. And now what I'm going to do is take a larger fluffy brush. This doesn't have product on it. And I'm just going to lightly blend. So that just added a hint more depth and dimension. If you just wanted to build this color up a little bit more and this could be like a truly like very barely there soft glam look, you can do that. But I, you know, even though this is a little bit more dramatic, it's what I prefer. So I'm going to build with a different shadow, but that's all that I'm using for corduroy. I'm now switching over to a Morphe M506. So you can see it's smaller, it's more precise. It's exactly what we're going to need for the next shade, which is chocolate, the darkest brown in this palette. In here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a diagonal, but I'm not going to bring it as far in. So if you wanted to be more precise about it, that diagonal ended right where my iris is starting. So that's kind of as far as we're going to put that, and I'm going to start building this up heavily on my lid. And I'm going to pick up a smidge more eyeshadow, and you really want to make sure you're tapping this off because we're putting it between our lashes, which is going to help knock shadow. I like having eyeshadow as like a soft liner moment, so even if you want to skip the wing liner, which is what we're going to be doing later in the video, and you just want to leave it as eyeshadow, that's typically what I do. And now without any new product, I'm going back to the M433 just to give everything a nice blend out. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that pink mauve shadow and just blend over everything. One last thing that I'm going to do, I don't know why I like using these angled brushes, but I do. But I'm taking Linen, which is the white shade, the most used shade in this palette. I'm going to put this under my brow bone just to lighten it up a little bit. And also, if you ever blend your eyeshadow up too high, you can use this to kind of erase it and tone it down. And I just think it's interesting because Raw Beauty Kristi just revealed her collab with Pure, which, like, congrats to her, that is amazing. But she said she went with a white in her palette because people prefer whites over black shadows in palettes. And I have to say, I agree with that. Looking and thinking back at all the eyeshadow reviews I've done, my biggest complaint, if it's not in there, is that the palette is missing a cream or a white eyeshadow. Just because I think they're great for lightening eyeshadow, kind of erasing any mistakes that you have. So for me, it's kind of a staple, but I found it interesting that I'm not alone in that thought and that a lot of people told her that they wanted a white instead of a black. So it looks like this eye is a smidge bit darker, so I'm just going to take a little bit more of chocolate and just really place that in the outer corner and blend it. I like working up close with a smaller mirror, but I also have like a regular handheld mirror at the end of my desk. So while things look great up close, I can also see at a distance where I need to add or where I need to take away. So that is just something. All right, so the last step for this upper eyelid is that we're gonna take the shade Bare. So it's like a very, very light brown. It's literally like the shade of my skin tone. Normally you would place a shadow or a sparkly shadow here, but I like the matte look. So I'm taking this flat shader brush. It doesn't have any markings on it, so I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I love the rounded shape of it. And again, I'm using my bone structure to my advantage, so I'm literally sticking this in here, and this is my orbital bone again. So that kind of helps give me a guide for any cut crease that I'm doing. If I'm placing a shimmer down, like right now, if I'm placing a matte down, it just gives me a guide on where to place that, and it's gonna help brighten and open up that inner corner. So I'm even getting it a little bit on the bridge of the nose and taking that about halfway back. And I didn't really do it over here, but if you have like some of the light shadow that's sticking up, and I just do this out of habit anyway, I just go back in with no new product and just blend that outer corner. So that is what the top half looks like. Let's move to the bottom. This is the Pro Flat Definer by Beauty Junkies. I recently tried them out in my testing old and new makeup. If you're curious, you can check that video out. I also have a 20% off discount code, MakeupByMegB, for 20% off for the remainder of the year if you guys are curious. I really enjoyed their brow products. That is what they sent to me for my consideration. So I just put chocolate, the darkest brown, on there, and now I'm taking corduroy, and this is a Morphe E36. I love this for blending my lower lash line, and I'm just going to smudge that out. I'm not taking this all the way to my inner corner. I'm leaving that very inner corner open for right now. And we're just gonna smudge this line so it's not harsh. And then on a different 506 brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Pink Mauve, and I'm going to blend this out. This also works really nicely on your lower lash line. If you're a subscriber of mine, you know I like a really smudgy lower lash line. This doesn't have to be perfect because obviously we have to put the rest of our makeup on, but it's just to give us that base so we don't have to go back and do it later. And I'm someone that definitely prefers to do eyes first because I don't want to spend a bunch of time on my face base to have my eyeshadow fall out and mess it up. All right, so before I move on to my base, I want to get my wing out of the way. So this is just a 7B brush from Anastasia, just an angled brush. And to make it stand out, I'm actually gonna take the burgundy shade that's in here. It's just to give an outline. If you're confident with wing liner, skip this step. I'm not. So we'll see how this goes. So I'm just making a line like that. And now the trick is to mimic it on the other side. That actually looks pretty even. Okay, so I forgot because I was getting so ahead of myself trying to remember to say everything. I forgot to mention my eyeliner. So this is the Game of Thrones Lannister Gold Liner by Urban Decay, and I'm just putting that on my waterline. You can see it just adds the slightest bit of difference in shimmer to the eye, and I think it really complements the eye look a lot. So just wanted to put that out there. Might need to come back and add more in a little bit because my eye is a little watery and it's not gonna want to stick. So yes, okay. And then all I did was connect my wings. So I just literally have that outline to fill in with liner later. Now I will be back in a second. All right, I am back. I decided to add some faux freckles, which was a choice, but now we are here to finish up the rest of the makeup. So for an inner corner highlight, something fun for a pop of color, I'm going into this Jaclyn Hill palette. The shade I'm in it, it's like this duo chrome. I put it on as a highlight because I just love it and I think it's fun and different, and I love colored highlights. So it kind of has like a red shift to it. With any dual chrome, it's really hard for it to pick up on camera for whatever reason. So I'm just gonna kind of pile this on the inner corner of my eye. Hello. And then if you guys are interested in this palette, I do mention it in my testing new and old makeup video, which I will have linked. It will be up in the info cards, but it's also, my most recent videos are also linked in my info bar. So you can kind of see what we're going for here. You can kind of see a little bit on camera how it's picking up like this pinky red vibe. And it's just so pretty. And I don't know what it is, but whenever I'm to like the last stages of my makeup is when my eyes want to start to water. Is anyone else like that? So I'm slightly taking this right in, and I'm also taking this underneath as well, just because I really like an exaggerated inner corner highlight. So before we move on, what I'm going to do is go back with a small brush, go back into pink mauve, and I'm gonna pick up the teeniest, tiniest amount, because we have the rest of our face makeup on. I want to make sure that lower lash line is nice and blended. So I'm going to just run that through my lash line. And it just helps to soften everything on the lower lash line too. So the last step of this look is the fun part and what's going to add all the pizzazz. So as you can see, I filled in my liquid liner, and now I am going to go in with some glitter. If you can notice, I stopped my liquid liner. I did not bring it all the way to the inner corner at all. You can see I literally stopped it right in the middle of my eye because the inner corner is for the glitter. These are the Urban Decay Heavy Metal Glitter Liners, and now you can see why I went with that red dual chrome inner corner, because it matches this glitter perfectly. I absolutely love these. If you're looking for more of like a wearable color, if pink glitter isn't your thing, Midnight Cowboy is the gold glitter, and it is stunning. I think these are worth the money. They're just fun to add pops of color. So I'm just literally putting that as if it were an extension of the liquid liner. And once we get to where the liquid liner starts, that's where we're going to stop it. And I'm going to build it up pretty thick because I do want it to be noticeable. So I'm putting on 2 or 3 layers of this, and you definitely want to wait until this dries, because if you look up, it will transfer, but once it's dried, you'll be good. So you can see that just adds like just that glam factor to this. So this is fun if you just want to add more dramatics to the shimmer eyeshadow. You can top it with that. You can use it with liner. It would also look pretty over the black liquid liner too. So there's definitely a few ways that you can go in and use this glitter liner. If you have the Stila liners, you can also just pick some up on an angled brush and apply that way too. So I like both those glitters. Glitters are fun. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and let this dry down. I'm gonna apply my mascara, and then it looks fine without falsies, but because it is like a glam look, I am gonna wear my Demi Wispies so they're not super dramatic, and I'm gonna show you a specific way how to apply these to lift your eyes. So we'll be back with that in just a second as well. As you can see, this looks totally fine without falsies, but if you want to glam it up a little bit, I'm going to show you how to help lift your eye up. So my lash glue has been sitting on here for a minute, and I had another chunk of lash stuck to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by angling this downwards towards my inner corner, and I'm going to set it in the center, place it on the inner corner, and instead of tugging this down to match my actual lashes, I'm going to put this up. So I know it's like hard to see, but there is this much space between my lashes and where I put the falsie. I could have like drug this down a little bit more. But as you can see, when I'm looking up, this has a little bit of a lifted effect. So it's gonna help lift the eye. It's gonna help go with the angle of the liner. So that's kind of a little lash trick. And once this dries down, you really won't be able to notice the disconnect from it. And as you can see, the Ardell Wispy has such a thin band. That's why I love the wispy line from Ardell. It's not anything too much. And this is a pretty beginner-friendly lash. So let's go ahead and tie up this look together. All right, so to finish off the look, I just have this Urban Decay lipstick in the shade Lady Sansa. from their Urban Decay collection, and I love this lipstick. It is like one of the perfect peachy pinky nudes for me. So this is what the finished look looks like. As you can see with the lashes, it just kind of elevates that eye look, and I really like this style of liner. I think that only bringing it halfway in helps add to the look, and then the glitter is just a fun little accent. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something new today. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.